I think it's time to start. I'm Jan Shaw, class of 59, so I'm delighted to be able to present the speakers tonight. They're going to talk about the characteristics of Manchester students now, and also how the Success Center works to support the students. We have Laura Turner-Reed, who's the Director of Academic Support and also coordinates the Writing Center. She teaches some courses occasionally, college composition, intro to writing, and several women's studies courses. Before Manchester, Laura worked for a nonprofit called Academic Success in Gainesville, Florida, and they were basically working with learning disabled students to help them with support. She has a bachelor's from Auburn University and a master's from the University of North Texas. Mia Miller, several of you know because she goes to our church. Mia is an academic coach and a disability services coordinator, and she's worked in academic support since 2015. Before that, she was an adjunct professor for Manchester, teaching courses in religion in particular, and also conflict resolution, mediation, and conciliation. She has a bachelor's from McPherson in religion and philosophy, 2 master's degrees. One is a master's in disability services and higher education from the City University of New York, and a master's in divinity from Bethany. Diana Nettleton is an academic coach and the tutoring program coordinator. And she's been working at that since 2018. She earned her bachelor's degree in education from Manchester College, and I was privileged to have her as one of my students. She got her master's from the University of St. Francis. You probably know that she had her own tutoring agency in beautiful downtown Manchester for about 12 years. So she's had a lot of experience in helping students succeed. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what they have to say.
Well, thank you so much for allowing us to come this evening. This is final exam week for us at Manchester, so this is a treat to get to stop proctoring exams for a little bit and come and spend some time talking about what we do on our non-final exam week. I am Laura Turner-Reed, the Director of Academic Support and Writing Center Coordinator. So our plan tonight is to talk a little bit about the current makeup of the student population at Manchester. We'll probably go through those slides pretty quickly, and then we'll go into more detail about what we do specifically in academic support and disability services to support those students. And then, of course, have time for questions and discussion. We are a very informal group, so please feel free if you would like to interrupt us. We're fine with that. We have a lot of fun in our office, so please just be comfortable and yourselves. All right. So first of all, our current student population. We are currently at 1,168 total students. That's on both of our campuses, North Manchester and Fort Wayne. On our North Manchester campus, we are at 880 this year. And as a side note, 454 of those students are student athletes. And we work with our student athletes quite a bit as well. Our North Manchester campus, that's primarily our undergraduate students. That's generally how we think of it, as North Manchester is undergrad and then Fort Wayne is graduate and professional. We have some exceptions. We have sometimes some Masters of Accounting students who are on our North Manchester campus. And likewise, some of our nursing students are on our Fort Wayne campus. But at Fort Wayne, we're currently at 291 students on that campus. And that includes you might need to help me. Mia goes there often. That includes pharmacy, our in-person pharmacy and our distance pathway, our Masters of Athletic Training, nursing. I always forget those things. And pharmacogenomics. Yes.
Well, I wondered if 454 athletes, are they all on a team? Is that what you're saying? They all are?
Yes, and these are individual athletes. So I think our actual number if we looked at every roster, was 600 something, because we might have a football player who also runs track. But these are our individual students, is the 454. Yeah, so lots of athletes on our North Manchester campus. Any other questions? Okay. So I decided to divide this up so you could see it better by our North Manchester campus and then our Fort Wayne campus. So this is the race ethnicity overview for the North Manchester campus. You can see our white students are 55.3%, African Americans 7.2%, Hispanic 5.8%, and then 2 or more at 4.6%. An important point to notice here is this part that says blank. Those are students who do not fill that out when they put that information in. So that's our makeup on our North Manchester campus. On our Fort Wayne campus, we're at 45.3% white, 6.8 Black or African American, 6.4 Asian, 3.8 Hispanic, and 1.9 2 or more, and 35.5 that have left that blank. As far as our gender breakdown on the North Manchester campus, 51.3% male, 48.2% female, and then 0.6% blank. So pretty equal there. And then at Fort Wayne, 67.9% female, 31.7% male, and then 0.4% blank. This one is difficult to see, but it's my favorite. This is our breakdown by state. So that's always fun for us to see where our students' home states are. So in North Manchester, you can see the majority are Indiana. So that's the top line. That is 759. Next is Florida at 28. Ohio, 21, Michigan, Illinois, Georgia, California, Texas, Arizona, Kentucky, Alabama, North Carolina, New York, Tennessee, Utah, Montana, so on and so forth. The large number in Florida is we do a lot of football recruiting in Florida and in Georgia and a few in Texas as well. And then Fort Wayne, 151, Indiana, Michigan, 42. We have a lot from Michigan in Fort Wayne. Some left it blank, and then California, Ohio, Florida. We have Puerto Rico, just a variety of states. And keep in mind also, we have a distance pathway program. Thank you, Mia's guiding me through this because she's our Fort Wayne expert. A distance pathway program for pharmacy and PGX, right? And so some of these students actually live in Colorado or live in California, and they're taking all of their coursework online. They do come occasionally to campus.
Yes, students are expected in the Doctor of Pharmacy program to come to campus for 2 weeks in the summer. And that's where they do largely the lab portions of their coursework. And then they go back home and all the actual coursework is online. And they can also have their placements, their clinical residencies in their home area as well.
Does this mean there are no international students?
No. We are currently at, what did Rudy tell us?
I believe it's 7 or 9. So it's much lower, which is credited to a number of things. One would be the pandemic, when everyone locked down. Countries obviously couldn't travel. And then the prior administration wasn't quite as open, the presidential administration wasn't quite as open to visas and students traveling. So that's just beginning to open up. So it's 7 or 9.
International, yes. Any other questions? Age range. So on our North Manchester campus, you can see it's a more traditional college age. We have a lot of 18 to 22-year-olds in North Manchester. We do have one 15-year-old who started at 15, right? It was our genius level student, I believe, who started early. And then we, go on. We have just a few, one at 49, 3 at 31, but most are the 18 to 22. Fort Wayne is much more diverse as far as age. Again, these are professional programs and graduate programs. So we have from 21 all the way through 53. Fort Wayne. Any questions about any of that demographic information? Okay, we're going to switch gears now. I'm going to give it to Diana. She's going to start talking about some of the specific things that we do in academic support then to help this student population.
Go ahead and advance it. Like Laura said, I'm Diana Nettleton, and 93, alum from Manchester. We offer a wide variety of services with Manchester students. We do appointments with professional staff that are available to help with students, the individual needs, and you can advance that still. Yeah, thanks. We're meeting with them, we work with them with time management, organization, note-taking, reading comprehension, and study skills and test-taking skills. And those are done through all 3 of us in our office. But we work a lot with students that might have other success advisors, which we'll talk about later, as far as test-taking skills and study skills and all those things. But it's all individualized for students. And so it's one of the most exciting things that I think that I do, and I'm sure Laura and Mia would agree with that, because it's fun to see students, how they grow from the beginning of the semester to the end when they practice some of these skills. You can go on. Oh, yeah.
Great. And so some of the things that we'll do. So Diana is our math person, right? And so she led a bunch of workshops this past semester for some of our students who are really struggling in our basic math or in our basic algebra class. All of us have sat down with individual students sometimes and read through chapters of their book with them if they're struggling with reading. So those are things that we do a lot with them. It's like Diana said, it's all individual based, very individualized. So the Writing Center, this is another one of our services that we offer. The Writing Center is open pretty much anytime the Success Center is open. So we are open Monday through Thursday from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Friday, we're 9 to 5 because students don't come in Friday night for help with a paper generally. And then Sundays, we're open 5 to 10. So students can drop in anytime that we're open and get help with a paper, or they can make an appointment. We just have an email address that they send an email, and they can make an appointment if they prefer. They can come in for help for a paper for any class at all at any stage of the writing process. So it could be a thesis statement, it could be one paragraph, it could be that they are a senior and they've just written their senior comp and it's 15 pages and they want someone to come and read through that as well. We also can help them with resumes and cover letters. They can bring, actually, it doesn't have to be for a class, anything at all they're working on. We have a student right now who I believe is writing some sort of short story, and she comes in every week. It's just a personal project of hers, and then get some feedback from the writing consultants there. After COVID changed everything, which we can talk a little bit about more later if you'd like, but we started offering our services remotely as well. And we continued that after COVID. So students can come in person, or they can email their paper to us, and then we can, we don't use Zoom anymore, we use Microsoft Teams, but we can do a virtual meeting through our computers that way too. And that really benefits our commuters. Also, our students on the Fort Wayne campus then are able to use this service too. The Writing Center does also employ student writing consultants. So these are our students who are recommended by faculty, and then they go through our hiring process, and we hire them. So it's a great opportunity for them also to get some really good experience, especially our education majors.
Thank you. As far as peer tutoring goes at Manchester, we offer tutoring in a variety of ways. One of the ways is that we have study sessions with groups, and those are scheduled and established at the beginning of each semester. They come from either student requests for tutors. Many times we'll have faculty that will request tutors. A schedule is sent at the very beginning of the semester. It's also sent at about midterm. And we can add tutoring throughout the entire semester. We do have a Canvas page, which is the learning platform that most of our classes are through, that students can access and see what tutoring is available. We have one-to-one tutoring that's available, and that's if a student has tried group tutoring and it's just that they need a little bit more focused attention. We have several students who are willing to do one-to-one tutoring, and we've seen some really good growth with both kinds of tutoring this past semester and over the past few years. We have remote and in-person tutoring that's available. Because we talked about that on the Fort Wayne campus, some of those students are the distance pathways and others, and they can participate in tutoring, and many have. So we have tutoring on the Fort Wayne campus and the North Manchester campus. And like Laura said earlier, with Writing Center consultants, we are a big employer of tutors. To be a peer tutor at Manchester, you must be recommended by faculty, and you must have at least a 3.0 grade point average. So it's a big honor to be a peer tutor on the Manchester campus. Did you have a question?
Do students pay to be tutored, and are student tutors paid?
Oh, wonderful question. Yes, student tutors are paid, but no, students at Manchester do not pay. I like to say, and I think all three of us like to say, it's included in their tuition. They pay for that as part of their tuition, so they pay for that academic support through tutoring. Any other questions about that part? Okay. Just now, I think it's been almost 4 years ago, we started the Math Center at Manchester. We noticed that we have several students that were requiring support in math. So we put together a center that's open Sundays through Thursdays, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. It's located in the science building, which is where a lot of the math classes, all of the math classes are taught. Peer tutors, there are 2 of them that work every single night with students. Students do not need to have appointments, and they can come at any point in time through that 2 hours. If they have one question, they can come for a few minutes, or they can come for that entire time and work with other students as well. We then, a couple years ago, opened up a chemistry center, much like our math center, but it's open from 7 to 9, and it's right across the hall from the math center, because a lot of our math students and chemistry students would have classes in both areas. And the peer tutors, there are 2 of them that work with the chemistry center. And once again, students do not need to have appointments. They can come at any point in time and work with a tutor and or work with other students that are in all of the chemistry classes at Manchester. Then over the past 2 years, we've been working with supplemental instruction. Supplemental instruction is a pretty exciting thing. We work with our intro level biology course, and that's our biology 106 and 108. We have peer tutors that attend the classes and are part of the classes that meet 3 times a week, and they are part of the lab as well. Those tutors work very specifically with students during class. And we've seen some really positive effects from that. And I know the tutors have really enjoyed, one thing, freshening up on those skills as they're getting ready, many of them, to go on further in their education. But they've also enjoyed working with their peers in the classrooms and working with the faculty that are part of that. Let's see, I think I said that. Oh, and sometimes, yes, we do provide outside tutoring along with that as well, with those tutors that are in the classroom as well. But that's been a really exciting venture that we've taken part in pretty recently. Any questions about that? Okay.
I have a disability where it affects my balance, and I was going to rely on Diana. She scooted away. That you're fine. We were teasing. We have a lot of fun together. Anyway, disability services is my area, and as we have mentioned, I do that on the North Manchester campus as well as the Fort Wayne campus. And so it's my favorite way to say it's how Manchester lives out its mission. And I know you all know the mission by heart, but it values the infinite worth of every individual, and that is very practically applied to students with disabilities. And so it's the right thing to do, right? Honoring everyone's different style of learning. It's also the law. And so Manchester complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act by offering reasonable accommodations to students with diagnosed disabilities. And so we have a wide representation of what that means or looks like for students. Probably our largest diagnosis represented is ADHD, attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, or ADD, as well as a variety of learning disabilities, increasing numbers of students on the autism spectrum, as well as students who have chronic health impairments. And so it's an exciting time because higher numbers of students with disabilities are attending college, which is fantastic. And they're also attending residential colleges like Manchester. So this not only impacts them in the classroom, but also in residential living. So finals week is a big week for us because accommodations often involve extended time for exams and testing. So you can imagine that that makes us busy this week. Success advising is something that's important to understand to get to know what student life looks like at Manchester. You're all familiar with academic advising. An academic advisor is a faculty member who helps students progress toward their degree for classes. And a success advisor is a member of student life who is paired up with every student. So each student has a success advisor, and that person meets with them about everything else, right? So this can involve some examples like, did you check in with your academic advisor? Because it's about time to register. Do you know how to register? Oh, you brought a car back after fall break. Do you know how to get a parking pass? To who are you eating dinner with? How is it going with your roommate? Oh, you're looking for a campus job. This is how you do it. You're not sure how to print a paper. Let me show you how to walk through that. The sky's the limit. I have even encouraged students to buy some Tide Pods and put their clothes in the washing machine. So you just never know what you'll do as a success advisor. And because we also do academic support, every success advisor can help with time management and things like that. But as Laura was saying, we sometimes sit and read a chapter and talk about note taking and kind of take it to that next level.
And so quickly, I'll just talk about one other thing that we do, which is if students are placed on academic probation, that is sort of housed in our department and academic support. But what they end up doing is they meet that semester with their success advisor. And this is an individualized plan. So everyone's required to meet with their success advisor at least every other week. They have to meet with each of their professors if they drop below a 75% in that class. They have to meet with them once a month. And then they have to do 2 additional tasks that we determine with them. So it could be going to tutoring, it could be having supervised study sessions, it could be meeting with us more, meeting with their faculty more. It just depends on their needs. And then they are also required to get a term GPA of at least a 2.0. So that was a lot, quickly. We just want to open it up. I know we went a little long, I apologize, but if you have any questions at all, we'd be happy to answer any. Yes.
Or how long the Success Center has been around, and do you have any statistics on how that helps with retention?
We didn't bring our retention numbers. The Success Center opened the year before I came, right? 2007, I think. I think it's around when they redid the union, right? When they remodeled the union, I think that was all the same time. So Mia and I started in different roles in 2008, and I believe that was 2007. As far as retention numbers go, I would say, what were we at this year? Were we at 70? We made it to 70% retention this year, which is pretty great for Manchester. We're really, really proud of that. I don't have the exact numbers. I don't know if you do off the top of your head, but I do know it was a significant shift once we started success advising. That I think we all feel was a really good initiative that we started 5 years ago. Yeah, I think so, right? Which I think that's right. And so that gives every single person one person to come to, and they don't have to run around campus. Even though it's a small campus, when you're 18 and you don't know who to ask, it's scary. And so they can come to us. We joke, we don't have all of the answers, but we know everybody. And so we can pick up the phone and say, "Hi, Sherry in Student Financial Services. We have a question about aid for this student." So I'm sure we could probably gather some of that data. Our dean and our VP, they have all of that in their files. They keep that rather than what we do. But success advising, I think, was a huge push. Anything else to share on that?
Are you located in the union?
Jeanette asked if we were located in the union. Yes, we're on the 2nd floor, just down from the conference rooms. And so we're in that big glassed-in areas where our offices are. Yes, everyone knows. And most people, nearly everybody, comes to eat in that building. And so we have a bit of an inn, right? I think we're doing fine on time. You're off, because we've only been going for a half hour. So we're good. Yeah. So keep your questions coming. What else would you like to know about?
What percent of the student body at the Manchester campus come in contact with you directly?
What number of the students come in contact with us? Percentage of the Manchester, the undergraduates primarily come in contact with us in the Success Center.
Well, and it depends if, in what area, like for tutoring and such, of course, with supplemental instruction, that's the whole, everyone that's in that intro biology class, which is a large number. But I believe, but I don't have my paper right in front of me, it was near 20% of the student body did some sort of tutoring. So that, of course, then they're working with academic support in that area. But then, like Laura mentioned, since every student has a success advisor, if they're not meeting with us, they're certainly hearing from us, and we're inviting them to come talk with us and get to know us. So I think we have a pretty big impact on the student body of Manchester.
This semester in the Writing Center, I don't have the number of individual students, but on the, we just calculated the numbers, and so we had 350 individual conferences. And so we're usually around, 800 or so for the year, something like that. But a lot of those could be the same student who keeps coming back, which we like, because that means it's helpful, right, for them.
Go ahead, Jan.
You talked about some of the learning disabilities that you're able to support students with learning disabilities. I'm curious about some of the challenges you have in terms of physical disabilities and making arrangements for their success.
I didn't plant Jan on that question, but it's one of my favorite things to bring awareness of. I do believe that there's a squeaky wheel and it does get the grease eventually, right? And so it's no secret that Manchester was built in a time that did not have to be fully accessible to physical disabilities. And yet we represent that group pretty well, Diane and I. And so Manchester's aware, right, of the lack of accessibility to a number of our buildings. We have had students who are chair users, and so we've had to get creative so that the students have full access to university life. You may know that Garver Hall, which is right beside the Union, is a first-year residence hall. So first-year students are grouped together and housed in that building. But if you have a physical disability, you're not in that building because you can't get in it. So that is where I squeak a lot. And so those students are housed in Oakwood or Hellman that is accessible. And we have accessible rooms that include walk-in showers, et cetera, as well as alternatives to alarm systems for those who are hearing impaired, et cetera. The Winger building is up for renovation soon. That is a really inaccessible building. A couple years ago, 3, we put a chair lift into the basement where the ceramic studio is so that a student could fully access that. We also have moved quite a few classes to accessible spaces. That's not always a popular thing to do when you're dealing with paint and art and clay and goo and sticky things, but it can be done. And so that is happening. Of course, every time you renovate a building, you need to bring it up to a code. And so that's what makes me very excited about renovations, is because then we make it accessible. Did that answer your question?
I'm curious, the motivation to start the Success Center, was it increased need or increased awareness or a little of both? Or just you could talk about how that came to be?
I don't know that we have the answer for this because it was before our time. I don't know. Do you know why we started?
I don't know for sure, but I can venture a good guess. So one of the individuals who worked there from that beginning was the director of academic support and also disability services. And so those programs existed, right? Some tutoring and writing support. But I think the Success Center was an intentional housing of those to make them more prominent and available to students. And so I think they were happening, but it was an effort to bolster them. Now, I'm making some conjecture there, but I believe that's what's behind it. Because it started in that location where those were all brought together.
And if you haven't been there before, which maybe everyone has, it's also a student space. So there are tons of computers there and study rooms. So we aren't open as late as the library, but it's another place on campus where they can come and study.
Back in the 1990s, and I don't know which end of the 1990s, I was teaching study skills classes, and the dean asked me to start a peer tutoring program. So I ended up hiring 10 people and doing some training and making it available and known to students. A few students took advantage of it. The peer tutors were paid. It was like a pebble dropped in an ocean in terms of being useful. And I know I had a medical emergency for a semester, and they turned the program over to someone else and gave them more responsibilities and fewer other classes to teach. And so I know the program started to expand, and then I just lost track of what's going on. But it seems to be very complex now and very complete. And I really admire you for all the work you do with this. And I also, we are running out of time. I also want to really thank you for coming tonight and sharing this with us. It sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.